Survive and Advance on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. Survive and Advance is brought to you by Replenishing Care. Now with the new CBD product out, make sure you go check them out at the top of our website, thegruelingtruth.net. Click on the banner for all the info. I'm one of your hosts for Survive and Advance, Mike Goodpaster. And right now, I want to introduce a man that is my other host. Some people would call him a co-host, but I don't. I call him a host, Steve Risley. How you doing, Steve?
Mike, I told you, just call yourself a co-host and call me a co-host, and we're fine with it. But when you say you're the host and I'm a co-host, it's all about
I just said
command.
I'm the host and my other host. Didn't I say that?
Well, then just say, I'm your co-host, Mike Goodpaster, along with our other co-host, Steve Risley. That's a simple way to phrase it. Okay?
How about this?
This is not a dictatorship.
This is Steve Risley, and today we have our Canadian buddy.
We're your hosts.
Lukas Weese is not a host. He's not a co-host. He is Steve's underling.
He is a Canuck from the north, our dear friend from the north, who keeps us all in line because Canadians are so freaking nice.
All right, so Lukas, how you doing
Thanks,
today?
guys. Oh, I'm fantastic. It's a beautiful day up here. And looking forward to the show, talking about some good stuff.
All right, and I know, Steve, you've got 1 minute to talk golf. Let's talk Tiger Woods and the Firestone.
Yeah, Lukas he's heading down to Bellerive for us to cover the PGA Championships, and he just came back to the RBC Canadian Open and did some good work there. But interesting, Lukas, address this a little bit. Somehow, amazingly, this tournament coming up this weekend is the Firestone, the Bridgestone tournament. It's a top 50 World Golf tournament. To address a little bit how amazingly Tiger all of a sudden slides into the number 50 spot on the World Golf rankings. Therefore, he barely qualifies to play in this tournament, which he's won 10 times, holds about every course record at Firestone. And what do you make of that? You think that was we want to boost some ratings and we want to put some more people on in front of the TV for this tournament?
For sure. Oh, the World Golf Championship at Firestone, I mean, it's been Tiger's tournament. As you said, he's won the tournament 10 times. And give him credit. I mean, this is someone who's come back from injury and he's now in the 50th spot. And given his Open Championship result, many people, think he could be competitive this week. So it's great to see.
Well, and this is not on Tiger. Tiger deserves to play in this tournament. If the guy's won the thing 10 times, he should have a lifetime pass to play in this tournament.
Oh, for sure.
But it's on the marketing people at the PGA Tour and the World Golf Championships and Bridgestone for somehow miraculously getting him to number 50 in the world rankings. I don't care if Tiger was 275th in the world. He should play in this tournament. So as much as he's dominated this tournament. So it's not on Tiger. And I'm glad he's playing because I'll be watching golf this weekend now. And next weekend the PGA. Sure. So, but it's just interesting how television still dominates the way sports are run, bar none. I mean, it is just bar none. And we'll address that tomorrow with our Hall of Fame show we're going to do. If we're going to do that, Mike, you're kind of scared about doing that one.
Yeah, I'm scared to do
that. But I think that television, this is a made-for-television decision to somehow get him into the top 50. And I guarantee you they can justify it. Because, liars can figure.
The ratings are going to go
liars
through the roof.
Can figure, yeah. Yeah, the ratings are going to go through the roof. This will be the second or third biggest tournament for the rest of the year to watch on golf now because Tiger's playing. Everybody will think this is Tiger's chance to win now. And that's probably has a lot of influence in it. It's his course. He dominates this course. And if he's going to win, this is probably the best course in his repertoire for him to win on. So good for golf for doing it. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. And it's going to be with the new PGA Tour schedule change. It's actually going to be the last time Firestone holds
Firestone.
a PGA Tour. Yeah. So that's
which is sad. I played that course. Yeah, I played Firestone. It's a great course. It's a really great traditional golf course to play. tree line, no out of bounds, really just, hit shots and recover or stay in the fairway. And there's not a lot of water on this course. It's just a good old traditional golf course. And I'm incredibly excited that they figured out how to get him in the tournament. I would have been very disappointed had they not. But it does smack of television dictating how tournaments are run and how sports are run. All right. That being said, move on.
You want to talk a little bit about the big Osuna trade from yesterday, Lucas?
Yeah, I'll just quickly comment. Of course, Roberto Osuna, the former Toronto Blue Jays closer, gets traded to the Houston Astros for 3 pitchers. I mean, I like the move that the Jays made. I mean, Osuna he's coming off a 75-game suspension for allegedly beating up his girlfriend. I think the Blue Jays clearly were, obviously they're trying to justify this as a baseball decision, but they're clearly trying to just preserve the moral compass and values of the organization, which I think is commendable. I mean, Osuna has a real cloud of scandal over him, and his reputation is tarnished. I mean, this is someone who, for the longest time was revered by the Jays fans. He was arguably one of the best closers in baseball, and now his reputation is tarnished. The Astros obviously think that, he can redeem himself. They're getting him an opportunity to close, and with the Astros' great record, he'll probably close in some big games in October. But I think, for Houston, they have to really, figure out how to square the reality that, they could be getting, a convicted, someone who committed domestic violence, which the MLB is zero tolerance policy.
That leads to my question. Was he convicted of domestic violence?
No. So he's appearing in court on Wednesday. But the one thing I will say is that he did not appeal his 75-game suspension. He accepted it. And, I mean, the girlfriend had to go to the hospital after this incident, and there were clearly marks on her face that resemble her being beat up.
So is he going to trial, or is it going to render? All right, so let me ask you this, Lucas. If he's convicted, why the hell is he still in baseball?
Well, that's my question.
Major Leagues, if these guys want to clean up their act, boot the guy out and say there's no room for wife beaters in professional sports. We don't. We are role models. We people live and die with what we do, and if you're convicted, you are gone. That's it. You can go dig ditches for the rest of your life. Go dig ditches for the rest of your life. Go pick up trash cans, but you are no longer going to play this game if you beat your wife, beat your dog, punch your kids, or anything of that nature. You're gone from the sport. That's how you stop things. And you just let him go play for another team and say he gets redemption if he's convicted. Now, if he's not convicted, so be it. But if he's convicted, boot his ass.
But Steve, I completely agree with you.
And here's my example. I'll tell you this right now. And here's what's happening in L.A. right now. Now, you all know about Khloe Kardashian and Tristan Thompson, the baby daddy who got caught scandalously cheating on his pregnant wife as she's delivering a baby. Okay, well, the big news out here is that Tristan has given up on it. He's done. He doesn't want it. He's trapped by Khloe. He wants nothing to do with the kid, and is leaving, and he's out of the picture. He wants to go back to Cleveland. And the moral story here is history tends to repeat itself. Correct?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
If he's cheating once, he left a pregnant woman to go hang out with Khloe, got her pregnant, and then he dumps on Khloe to go back, and he's dumping on Khloe while he's while she's in the room delivering her baby. History repeats itself. So if this guy has done this once, there's a pretty good chance it's going to happen again.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the way for sports to clean their act up is just boot people out of the league and say, you're banned. You don't meet our morals clauses. We don't make exceptions. And I don't care if you're Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers or Nolan Ryan or anybody. You break our rules, our moral clauses, you're done with the sport.
Yeah.
And there are some things that you don't redeem yourself from. Beating your wife is not something you redeem yourself from. I don't think so.
I completely agree. Not when
you're a role model, allegedly as an athlete, you're just automatically anointed a role model status when you become an athlete.
Yeah.
And
Steve, I think it looks poorly on the Houston Astros, because a few months ago, the Astros cut a player from Double-A when a video surfaced that he was beating his girlfriend. Justin Verlander and Lance McCullers Jr. took to Twitter voicing their disdain for players who commit domestic violence. And now,
here they bring this guy in.
Are bringing this guy in. This was so hypocritical.
That kid wasn't that
right.
good.
No, that's right, Mike. Because winning is more important than doing the right thing.
Morals. Exactly.
I had the privilege one time of sitting down and having lunch with Norman Schwarzkopf, one of the great generals of the Desert Storm series. We asked him questions about leadership capability. He said, I lead by 2 rules. Rule number 1 is do the right thing. Rule number 13 is when all else fails, go back to rule number 1. Do the right thing.
Yeah.
In this case, the Astros, if he's convicted, now I got to give him this due process because I believe in due process. Mm-hmm. But if he's convicted, the Astros say, we wash our hands of you, you're done. And Major League Baseball says, you're done. You're banished. You can reapply when Pete Rose gets in the Hall of Fame.
And to me, Steve, I just wish. Now I know that general manager of the Blue Jays, Ross Atkins, is on a tight legal line because, of course, June has the right to due process. But I would have liked him to stand up there and say that we have a zero-tolerance policy for domestic violence, quote unquote. He never said that. All he said was, it was the right baseball decision. And that's just hiding the fact that this guy, allegedly beat his girlfriend. He should not be in baseball. And to me, the Blue Jays did the right thing just to part ways with him because they don't want that cloud of scandal to ruin the reputation of their organization.
Pro sports is never going to change its image until it takes a hard stand on illegal activities, period. Be it doping,
75 games is too small.
Be it gambling, be it wife beating, be it anything, be it dog butt fighting, anything. Until they take a hard stance on these people and realize how privileged they are as athletes to get to make the money they make and travel the way they travel and live their lives the way they live their lives, and this is how they give back to their communities. Shit, that's why I'm not a big fan of pro sports. I'd rather go watch college sports where kids are going to class, allegedly, but playing for their team, it's a 30-game schedule. They play, every game matters. But this is just another case of taking a knee, not taking a knee, keeping kids in the locker room, the national anthem, not. Take a freaking stand and be a leader and set an example for our youth to follow to make America great again. And I'm not a Donald Trump fan.
All right, guys.
That's not what that's about.
Let's go ahead and get off of this right now. We're going to do a preview of the NFC today. We did the AFC yesterday. Steve picked the wrong team to win the AFC, where me and Lucas actually picked the correct team to win. So that's a pat on the back there, Lucas. We're going to start off with the NFC North. And I know Steve despises Aaron Rodgers. And when I
don't despise Aaron Rodgers.
All right.
He's a great quarterback.
I'm just messing with you. But when you look at the Packers, most people assume they're going to run away with this division, Steve. What's your take on the Packers? I think they would run away.
The Packers, if Aaron Rodgers stays healthy, they're as good as any team in the NFL. And, the problem is he going to stay healthy? I'm not a big fan of Aaron Rodgers because I think he's a little more self-centered than great quarterbacks are. I think he sulks on the field a lot. He kind of berates players a little bit or looks at players like it's your fault. It's just mannerisms I see in players who don't necessarily take great accountability. I don't think in the current configuration the Packers can win the Super Bowl again the way they are. I don't think Aaron Rodgers will ever win a Super Bowl again. He led them to one in 2010, I think it was, and it was great, and he is still a great statistical quarterback. He's a big play Ray quarterback, but I don't know that he's the leader to take the Packers at this point in his career back to the Super Bowl. And on top of that, they're facing the Minnesota Vikings, who are one of the three best teams in the NFC. And they've got to get through them. And the Bears are improving. And Detroit is going to get sucked into last place in that division, but, it is what it is. They lost Jordy Nelson. It's the first time that Rodgers has ever gone to camp without having Jordy Nelson in his core. That's going to throw him off a little bit. I just think that it's not the year of the Packers. I don't think the Packers will be back in Super Bowl contention for a few years, maybe not in Aaron Rodgers' career.
So do you think Minnesota wins the division?
Yeah, I think they do. I think, I think they're deeper. I think they picked up a great quarterback in Kirk Cousins.
A great quarterback in Kirk Cousins.
A better quarterback.
Kirk Cousins is a bigger egotistical asshole than Aaron Rodgers could ever possibly be. And when I look at Minnesota, and I'll go to Lucas here, but you can chime in too, Steve.
Wait, are we done with Green Bay? We haven't stayed on Green Bay.
Well, I thought you were done.
Talk about Green Bay first.
Well,
am I the only one reviewing Green Bay?
I was going to talk to Lucas about it. You got to let me get to it.
Okay, well, go to Green Bay. Don't go to Minnesota yet.
I was going to combine the two and get both of your thoughts. But, all right. So
okay,
Lucas,
all right.
What's your take on Green Bay?
So, I agree with Steve. I think that Aaron Rodgers, he's a great regular season quarterback. He's talented in the pocket because he can also get out of the pocket too, which is, and he's quite mobile and can really run with the football, which is really effective. But since they won the Super Bowl, Aaron Rodgers has a below 500 record in the postseason. And you're right, he hasn't won a Super Bowl since. And for me, I just don't think their defense is good enough. I think that they're switching defensive coordinators. I just don't see, they'll make the playoffs. I think they're either going to win the division or make the wild card. It'll be, a battle between the Vikings and the Packers. I'm going to say the Packers will get a wild card spot. But I'm like you, I just don't see the Packers, they're not like, the LA Rams, for example, or the Philadelphia Eagles. They're not at that level.
They don't have a defense.
I just think,
and they don't have coaching.
Right.
No, but one point I will make is when Aaron Rodgers was injured, I think back in 2013, he came back the season after and won the MVP. But the MVP is, second fiddle to the Vince Lombardi trophy, and I just don't see the Packers getting there. They'll be a playoff team if Rodgers stays healthy, but I just don't see them making the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I don't think their offensive line's good enough. I don't think their defense is good enough. And I think Mike McCarthy's not a good coach. And I think the reason Aaron Rodgers hasn't won another Super Bowl is because of Ted Thompson in the front office and Mike McCarthy more than anything else.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and touch on the Lions and the Bears. Steve did a little bit. I agree with Steve. I think the Lions will be last, Lucas. I really like what the Bears have done in the offseason. And if the Bears had somebody other than Mitch Trubisky at quarterback, I would actually, and I'm not a big Mitch Trubisky fan. If I'm wrong, though, and Mitch Trubisky plays well, this is a team with the surrounding cast that could win 8 or 9 games.
Yeah, I got them at 8-8. I think, the Bear, I think Trubisky's going to, hopefully develop. I don't think he's the answer. I think, the Bears are probably going to change quarterbacks in a few years. Obviously the Bears, the fan base is hoping that he becomes a good quarterback, but I think the Bears, they'll miss the playoffs. I think they're a couple years away from being a playoff team. To me, the Lions, I got them winning like 5 or 6 games, and they'll be in the basement of the NFC North.
Yeah, and they're winning those games because they've got Matt Stafford, and that's it. If they had a normal quarterback, they're probably not winning any. Steve, what's your take on the Bears and the Lions?
The Bears, I want the Bears to do well. Who doesn't love the Chicago Bears?
I don't.
I do. I'm not a Bears fan, but I just love the Bears. It's the NFL's football team. The Bears and the Packers are the two, the original teams, the Giants. And it's like you just always want to root. You want to see Chicago. It's a great sports city. You want that team to have luck, that city to have luck. It loves sports tremendously. And I want the Bears to do well. I think they're going to do good. I think they're going to win some big games. But they also, they've got a pretty tough schedule. They've got to play everybody twice in their division, which includes they got to play the Vikings twice and the Packers twice, which are tough. And then they've got to go out off season. They're going to play the Rams at home, the Patriots at home, the Seahawks at home, The Jets, who I think are going to be an upstart team, and then the Buccaneers, and with Jameis Winston, who the hell knows where they're going to be. But they have a tough schedule. But I think the Bears are going to finish 500. I think they'll be in the hunt for the playoffs at the end, which is something they haven't been in for quite a while. I'm going to root for the Bears to do well. I'm going to check their scores every week. But I think they're just in a hard division right now with the Packers and Minnesota both sitting there looking at going 13-3 or 12-4. I think both those teams will do.
All right, so who do you have winning the North, Packers or Vikings?
I have the Vikings.
All right.
I'm interested to see what Kirk Cousins does there. I think Kirk Cousins, egotistical. I don't know him that well. I don't follow the Redskins that much to know. I know statistically he's a real strong quarterback. I don't think the Redskins have been very solid, a very good football team. I think he's on a very good football team now. It'll be interesting to see what he does when he's got surrounded by a great football team. I think he's going to be productive, and obviously the Vikings know something that we don't know.
That's not obvious because I think Case Keenum's a better fit. I just think that with Kirk Cousins, the reason I'm going to pick the Packers to win the division. But Kirk Cousins is also the reason it wouldn't surprise me they're in a Super Bowl. Because with Kirk Cousins, you never know what you're going to get. So what's going to happen is this. This is going to be, a 12-win team or a 6-win team. Because I think in the end, if Kirk Cousins plays well, does what he's supposed to do, this team's a Super Bowl contender. But there's also the chance that Kirk Cousins blows this thing up, Lucas.
Sure, right.
Who do you got, Packers or Vikings, Lucas?
I'll agree with Steve. I mean, but I will say this: I'm not sold on Kirk Cousins. I agree with you, Mike. I think he's very arrogant when he hasn't really done a lot. I mean, as a quarterback, he has a great opportunity though to become a real star in Minnesota because Minnesota has a lot of great surrounding pieces. I mean, just today, they re-signed Stephon Diggs to a 5-year extension. Of course, he's the famous wide receiver in the Minneapolis Miracle game in the NFC divisional round last year. They got Adam Thielen as well as the wide receiver, and they have a good defense. I mean, they were the top-ranked defense statistically last year.
And maybe most importantly, I think they've got the best coach in the NFC North in Mike Zimmer.
Yeah.
Mike, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
How durable is Cousins? I haven't followed him that closely. Is he fairly durable?
He's missed some games here or there, but I think he's pretty durable. What do you think, Lucas?
Okay. See, I think that plays big. I think that plays big.
Yeah.
I think what plays bigger is who's your backup quarterback, too, and most teams don't have one anymore. All right, let's go ahead and go to the NFC West, which I think the Rams are most definitely the most talented team in the division. And they're up there of maybe the most talented team in football now with what they've added on the defensive line. Then you've got offensively, the question I think is Jared Goff. I think the only challenger here for them is the 49ers guys. And if we look at the 49ers, I mean, Richard Sherman, I think he joins a young, improving defense. I don't know what he's got left, but maybe he can be a leader in that secondary and make them better. I still think this is probably an 8 to 10 win team with a shot at a wild card. I don't think they can compete with the Rams just yet, though, Lucas.
I agree with you. I see. I got the 49ers just missing the playoffs. I think. I mean, look, there's still a lot of question if Jimmy Garoppolo can really put the money where his mouth is and really play up to that level of the money that he's making. I mean, he did go undefeated. But he played against bad teams. So at the end of the day, I think, Jimmy G is going to improve. I do like the 49ers, not this year, but probably the year after to make a run. But the Rams are the class of that division, and they're, to me, a Super Bowl contender.
All right, Steve, do you agree with the Rams-49 comparison, or do you see the Seahawks?
I agree,
Yeah.
No, I don't see the Cardinals are out of the picture entirely. If they win 4 games this year, I'd be surprised. I think they're just in turmoil. They got Larry Fitzgerald, and that's about it. It's kind of sad that Larry Fitzgerald's going to end up his career, but there's loyalty for you. That's what loyalty pays you. He had no interest in going anywhere else. He wants to stay in Phoenix, play the Cardinals, and there's a guy that probably could go get a ring if he would jump onto the Rams right now for a year, or the Eagles, or somebody, or some other team. He can go get himself a ring and cap his career, which is a Hall of Fame career, which is a true Hall of Fame career. But anyway, the 49ers, I think they're a year away. We got to see if Garoppolo was a phenomenon or if he's a talent. And, at the end of the year, basically San Francisco played like they had nothing to lose. There was really no pressure on Garoppolo.
Exactly.
They started winning. Now expectations have mounted on Garoppolo. Is he going to be able to live up to them? Is San Francisco short up its defense? From what I understand and following on Twitter and stuff, Sherman's having a pretty good camp already in preseason camp. He's showing some of his form well and making some great defensive plays in camp. Again, it's camp. I know they go about 80%, but still, just the mentality of him being there. But they showed their defense up. But I think they contend for a wild card spot, but not the division championship at all.
Yeah,
I think it's Los Angeles to lose.
Yeah, and I think when you look at the Cardinals, I think the Cardinals may have a better roster than Seattle now. But yeah, whatever your name is, Lucas. I think what you've got, though, the Legion of Boom is pretty much gone. The offensive line is terrible. The only reason I would put Seattle over Arizona is because of Russell Wilson. I think Russell Wilson's a guy that's so good. He's going to win 6 games by himself, but they're going to end up being a 6-10 team.
Right.
So I'm assuming we all agree here the Rams win the division?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they strengthened their team. The Rams brought in Brandon Cooks, Marcus Peters, Ndamukong Suh. Is that guy still playing? Has he not been put in jail for killing people yet?
Why? He just plays a
swear to God.
I like him. I'd love to have him on my team.
I would too, rather than playing against him, because he's going to hurt me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They added Aqib Talib. How do I pronounce that? Is that
Aqib Talib? Aqib Talib.
Okay, that sounds like an ISIS name.
Aqib Talib. We didn't say that. Nobody said that. Anything that Steve Risley says on the Grueling Truth cannot be connected back to the Grueling Truth. It does not reflect what the Grueling Truth thinks about
teasing
people from the Taliban. Go ahead.
No, it does not.
Some of them are good people, Lucas told me.
They're all good people.
Oh, boy.
Ideas. I just think the Rams have added so much strength that they're just going to be very difficult to beat. So, yeah.
Aaron Donald on defense, too. Don't forget about him. I mean, he's one of the best.
Yeah, I mean, you look, him and Geno Atkins, I think, are the 2 best interior defensive players in the NFL. And now you're putting Ndamukong Suh next to him. So, and the thing about Suh is this. You got Wade Phillips there, who's one of the greatest defensive coordinators to ever live. If anybody can control Suh, it's going to be Wade Phillips.
Right.
Oh, for sure.
All right, guys. And it drives me nuts when you say, oh, for sure. But next up, we've got the NFC East, and this looks like the Eagles look like the most talented team. They've gotten better. We've got the Wentz-Foles thing. You think the Eagles do this again? And first, I'm going to go to the Valley Girl, Lucas.
Oh, yes. This is, again, the Eagles' division to lose, and I don't think they're going to lose it. I mean, the Eagles have gotten better, as you said, Mike. They added Michael Bennett on defense, former Seattle Seahawk. There's going to be a little bit, of QB controversy, Wentz, Foles, but this team is just too talented, barring no significant injuries. They're going to make a significant run, and I just don't see the other 3 teams coming close to them. So I like the Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly.
All right, Steve?
Yeah, I think the Eagles are the team to beat. I think Dallas is just always in turmoil. But, I think the greatest thing the Eagles can make sure is to stay right up front is there is no quarterback controversy in our camp. That, Wentz is our quarterback. That's what we're going with. We're staying with him. He didn't play last year because he was injured. We appreciate what Nick Foles did for the team. And the sooner they wrap that down and nail that down, the better and more complete the Eagles are going to be, because that's what everybody's going to be searching for, is the first rough game that Wentz has. They're going to be calling to bring Foles back in, and that just disrupts the team's chemistry entirely. There'll be some players that favor Wentz, some players that favor Foles. So I think as soon as they get that settled, which they say it's already settled, and even Foles has said it's settled, but that's the only chink I see in their armor to repeat. And to face, I think, will be the Rams and probably the Vikings and probably the Packers, who I think are the four class teams in the NFC. I take that back. We haven't even talked about New Orleans yet. We haven't even talked about New Orleans, I think. So. We'll get to them. But
the team that I think that could shock them would be the New York Giants. I think the Giants are a team on the rise, pretty much by default, because they were 3-13 last year. Because Philadelphia is clearly the best team in the division, but there remain significant questions about the Cowboys and the Redskins. And you got to remember, the Giants they're a team that 2 years ago made the playoffs off the strength of a really good defense. They've got Odell Beckham Jr. back. He's still waiting on a new contract, so hopefully he's not disgruntled by that. You had Saquon Barkley in the backfield, Sterling Shepard, Evan Ingram, who had 64 catches for 772 yards and 6 touchdowns as a rookie last year. If Eli Manning can be just the average guys, this offense is going to be really good. The concern comes on the defense, where I think the Giants' linebacker depth is subpar, and the secondary is in need of a huge bounce-back season after a 2017 in which the Giants finished 31st in pass defense. But I think if there's anybody here that can surprise them, it would be the Giants with Eli Manning. Any thoughts there, Lucas or Steve?
Yeah, Eli Manning is a question. I mean, his quarterback rating has dropped the last 2 years.
Yeah, but his offensive line was atrocious, and they have fixed that a little bit with Nate Solder and Will Hernandez in the draft.
Eli Manning is 50-50. He's a risk. I think he's a very talented quarterback. He's probably still one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. But he's just right now he's a 50-50 gamble. I mean, if he comes out and gets off to a good start and gets some confidence and he keeps people healthy, he's gonna play well. But we've seen Manning just kind of puke on himself at times too, and kind of throw games into the tank unintentionally. So we don't know what Eli Manning's going to show up. He's at a later point in his career. I don't know. I mean, he's the question for the Giants. From them going from being a playoff contender to not being a playoff, I think it rests pretty much solely on Manning. I think it's a gamble for them to take that risk, but I don't think they had any better options. The Giants had any better options to garner another quarterback and start developing one. And I'm not sure Manning's completely done yet. It's be interesting to watch. Because I like the Giants. I'm a Manning fan based on Peyton playing in Indianapolis all these years, so I'm a whole Manning family fan. So I want to see him do well, but let's just see if he can. If he does, that team will succeed or fail on Manning's arm. The leadership's there.
And
just whether his arms are.
Yes, the leadership is there, and if you want a Manning to win a Super Bowl, you take Eli. Lucas, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what Steve said. I like Eli too. I just think he throws too many interceptions, and to me, I think if he reduces that, I think the Giants will, be in the mix for the first few weeks. But 31st pass defense gets you, just not good enough. And to me, they have too many questions on the secondary side to really, make a real run for a wild card. So I have the Giants winning about 7-8 games this year. Definitely an improvement from last year. I think, for them, look out for them to make the playoffs maybe in a year or two.
All right, next up we got the NFC South, which I know contains Lucas's favorite team, the Carolina Panthers. I would say looking at this going in, this seems like a 3-team race. The Bucs have problems, especially with Jameis Winston now. Probably not playing for a while at the start of the season. When I look at this, Steve, I think the most complete team of the three are the Saints. I think the Saints' defense has improved with Alvin Kamara. They can run the ball. They've got Drew Brees. I think the Saints have to be the favorite coming in.
I think so, too. I mean, Drew Brees seems to be amazing. He ups his game every year. I mean, it's like he's playing the best football he's ever played right now. Sean Payton and them have a great relationship as a quarterback coach. They seem to be on the same page. They've strengthened up. And, I think Saints run away with this division, truthfully.
All right, Lucas.
Yeah, I could see the three teams, the Falcons, Panthers, and Saints having, over 9 wins for sure. I think the two teams coming out of the division are the Saints and the Panthers, with the Falcons just missing.
Who are the
Falcons?
The
Saints are a good team.
Who were the Falcons? Weren't the Falcons that a little island that England destroyed a while back?
Yeah, and there was a starship called the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, but who are the Falcons?
Yeah, Han Solos. They're the Falcons.
They're the Falcons. Come on, you Canadian.
Okay.
Just because you guys spell defense wrong doesn't mean you can say words wrong.
Wow. It's just how we pronounce things up here. But anyway, as I was saying, the Saints, I think they'll run away with it down the stretch. I think on both sides of the ball, they're just too good. And Drew Brees, I'll admit, he's the best quarterback of that division and arguably one of the best quarterbacks in the league still, really making an impact. And they also have a great running game too. I mean, those two guys, Ingram, Kamara, are really, really good. For me, why I think the Panthers take the wild card, I just think, that team really, again, rests in, Cam Newton's shoulders. I mean, he needs to obviously be better than, the 50% completion rate that he was last year. But
that's what he is every year.
But they do get offensive coordinator Norv Turner in there, which I think will hopefully make a difference.
If it's 1992, which is the last time Norv Turner.
Yeah, I'm thinking Norv Turner might have been a desperate move. I'm not sure
we'll see.
With the game the way it's played today. So
we'll see. I mean, but I just think with the Panthers, I really like the draft pick of getting DJ Moore, wide receiver. He's a real electric receiver who can not only run the slant route, but also really use his speed to break away from corners for the deep post. And their defense is good. I mean, Luke Kuechly, Thomas Davis Jr. I think that the Panthers will win their share of games. It'll be competitive all the way throughout the year with, Falcons, Panthers, Saints, but I like Saints and Panthers to advance.
Yeah, I just don't see Cam Newton being able to play well enough to overcome the Saints. All right, give us your AFC Championship game, Steve.
AFC Championship game will be New England versus Jacksonville. And I think New England's going to win that game.
NFC.
Didn't we have that discussion yesterday?
NFC. Lucas confused me with the Falcons. The Falcons.
NFC Championship game. I'm going to go with the Eagles because I think they probably have one of the easiest roads to get there. I'm going to go with the Rams just because of the predictions and the expectations on the Rams and the way they strengthen their team overall and the way they continue to grow. So I think it's going to be the Rams and the Eagles in the NFC Championship game.
And who wins?
Well, I live in L.A., but I'm a blue-collar kind of guy. I think the Eagles win it again and go back to the Super Bowl again. I think Wentz is a hell of a quarterback. I think they didn't lose much in their team. I think they've got confidence that he's won one. And Goff is still a little bit young as a quarterback. And when you put all your heart and soul into a running back like Todd Gurley, that's great because he's a great football player, but they're so easily injured. You just don't know how long he's going to last. And when he goes down, I think the Rams take a big hit offensively.
Right. So you got the Eagles.
They lose Gurley. So I got the Eagles repeating.
Do you have them repeating and winning the Super Bowl?
Well, are we getting that far yet?
Yeah, I'm asking. That's what's next.
Yeah, I think the Eagles.
Knock it out.
I think the Eagles would beat the Patriots again.
All right, Lucas, NFC Championship game, and then give us your Super Bowl.
So I got the same NFC Championship as Steve. I think that having both the Rams and the Eagles are very, very talented, and I just think that the Rams will advance. I just think it's just too difficult for the Eagles to get back to the Super Bowl. I mean, I think that they're talented enough to, but I just think that this Rams defense is just going to find a way to neutralize, Carson Wentz and that Eagles offense. So I like the Rams to advance to the Super Bowl, and I like the Rams to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars, because even though you got two really great defenses there, I just think that the Jags, the offense is just not good enough. I just can't see Blake Bortles competing with Jared Goff and Todd Gurley. So I like the Rams to win.
All right, I'm going to say the Saints will play the Vikings because Kirk Cousins is going to pull it out. I don't know. And then the Saints will win and go to the Super Bowl and beat the Jaguars because Drew Brees is not going to lose to Blake Bortles. Any final thoughts, Lucas?
Yeah, I mean, I think a dark horse for me. I know I'm a Panthers fan through and through, but I think that they could be a dark horse. I mean, I really like their defense. I think if Cam Newton, Cam doesn't have as many question marks as Kirk Cousins. I think Kirk Cousins is a lot more than Cam Newton.
I think they have about the same amount of question marks. I mean, at least who won an MVP? Why did he win an MVP? He didn't deserve the MVP. That year, if you remember, the Panthers beat how many teams with winning records?
Well, the record was still smaller, Steve.
How many games did they win against teams above 500?
I would say, honestly, I forget, maybe 2 or 3 games.
Yeah, so come on.
But I mean,
he had a good season once.
Well.
He had a good season once.
Okay.
I mean, come on. If you want to compare him to Cousins, I mean, this is the thing. Only 2 times in his career has he completed more than 58% of his passes, and that was a 60% and a 61. The other problem we have with him are the interceptions. I mean, 22 and 16, 19 and 14. He had the MVP year at 35 and 10, but Mark Rippon also had one great year one time. You look at 18-12, 24-13, 19-12, 21-17. If he was white and was picked as high as Cam Newton, he would be considered a bust.
Well, I just think, I think Cam has question marks. I think that this is one of those years. Now you got an offensive coordinator. We'll see. There's a great opportunity now for Cam to really prove
have you ever thought that when you go through so many offensive coordinators in a 7-year season, that maybe the offensive coordinator is not the problem?
Well, I think that they need to find a way to get Cam to not run as much and try to pass. And,
but he doesn't want to do that because he is not a quarterback. I mean, he's going to prefer to run.
Come on,
because
he's
he
better
doesn't
than
want to
Kirk Cousins.
He's better than Kirk Cousins.
Better than Kirk Cousins. He's better than Kirk Cousins. He's better than, he's a top 20 quarterback in the league, Mike.
Well, a top 20? Hell, there's only 12 that are any good.
Well, and I would even put him even higher. I think he's, in that 10 to 12 quarterback range. And I think at the end of the day, the fact that he can use his legs, sure, it's dangerous, but it allows more options on that offense. And I just think...
Real quick, for their career, all right, Cam Newton's at 56% completion. Kirk Cousins, in almost the exact same amount of years, 6 and 7, is 66%. He's thrown 100. He's got a 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. Cam Newton has almost 2-to-1, and that was because of one huge season. You also got to do this. Carolina has had a much better team around him than Washington had around Kirk Cousins. And Cousins was a guy that was brought in as a second-round pick. Nobody expected anything of. So Cam Newton was brought in as, the first pick. He was expected to be a great quarterback. So if I told you right now, you look at these stats, you look at the record, is Cam Newton worth the number 1 pick in the draft if you know what you knew or know now 7 years ago? I think you would say no. Because at first,
no, he's not a number 1 pick.
Now, Kirk Cousins was picked in the second round. Was Kirk Cousins worth the pick?
I think I don't, until Kirk Cousins can, now Kirk Cousins has a great opportunity. He's with a very talented, deep Vikings team. If he can't lead the Vikings team to the promised land, then to me,
he's
you
like
see Kirk Cousins for
I
what
agree.
He's a winner.
Then he's
and
like,
I think
is Cam Newton a winner?
Well, I mean, guys team to the Super Bowl. Is Matt Ryan a winner?
They drove the team to the Super Bowl. They beat the Cardinals and Carson Palmer in the championship game. They go to the Super Bowl and he totally shit his pants. He pooped his pants. I mean, he played like crap, and then he acted like a little girl after he got beat. That's not a quarterback that should be in the first round. And Kirk Cousins is the same to me. To me, I think they're both the same, but we got to see what Cousins does when he's got some talent around him, because now he's got talent around him. We already know what Cam Newton does. Cam Newton blames others when he screws up. He pouts. He won't talk to the media. I don't think that's a guy you want quarterbacking your team if you want to win a Super Bowl.
Well, he's over dramatic, and trust me, I was one of the first to say that he was very, very soft in that Super Bowl for not going after that fumble and his performance after the game.
Do you think Kirk Cousins would have went after the fumble?
I don't know. I don't know.
So you don't think Kirk Cousins would have went after that ball? I think Kirk Cousins is tough. I think he's a baby, but I think he's tough. And I think that Cam Newton's a soft baby. I think this. In that situation, 99% of quarterbacks that have ever lived are going to go after that ball. 99% of people that ever lived that have a competitive bone in their body will go after that ball.
Yeah.
Cam Newton sat there and looked at that ball because it wasn't that important. Yeah, it wasn't important enough for Cam Newton. And I can tell you this, I'm a Bengals fan. Jeremy Hill, he was dead to me after he fumbled against the Steelers. You don't let that ball get away from you. And you can sit there and say, well, you've never done that. You've never been hit by whoever. That's not the point. The point is this.
You're playing football.
You win the game if you hold on to the ball. You Cam Newton, you got a chance to win the game if you get on that ball. And greatness to me is not, I'll get it next time. Greatness is going after and getting the ball. And Drew Brees would have went after that ball. And Drew Brees probably would have got the ball and then beat Peyton Manning's ass in the Super Bowl. Because, let's face it, Peyton Manning beat Cam Newton in a game where Peyton Manning fumbled 4 times and threw 2 interceptions.
Well, Von Miller beat Cam Newton. That Denver Broncos defense.
Von Miller beat Cam Newton. Now, this is the thing.
Historic defense.
Yeah, it's a historic defense. Sure it is. What it was is this. They beat the Carolina Panthers offensive line. It was not very good. And it's never been very good, and that's why Cam Newton runs, because Cam Newton's gun shy.
Yeah, look, Cam Newton has, there's no question, I agree with you. I think he has a lot of questions, but I think at the end of the day, with his ability to run the football, it makes him just a little bit better to me than Kirk Cousins.
All right, this is
Kirk
the
thing.
Cousins. Name me a quarterback.
He can go lead his team win the Super Bowl.
Name me a quarterback who's won a Super Bowl that was mainly a running quarterback.
Well, Russell Wilson, but he runs. He now is mainly a passer. But
Russell Wilson is not mainly a running quarterback.
But he can run, Mike. He can
run doesn't mean he's a running quarterback. Russell Wilson stands in the pocket till the last possible moment, which is what makes him a great quarterback. What your guy does is, as soon as shit goes bad, he runs because he's a runner. There's no comparison, Russell Wilson and Cam Newton. I just don't think there is. If you look at him, come on, Russell Wilson completes, on average, 65% of his passes. Doesn't run near as much. He runs when he has to run. In his playoff passing, he's 8-4 as a playoff quarterback. And if you look at the rushing yards, Russell Wilson averages about 450 yards a year rushing. Kenny Anderson ran for 400 yards in 1981 for the Bengals. So he's not a runner. He runs the ball less, or on average about 90 times a year. In 16 games, through my math, he runs about 5 times a game. I would bet you anything that Cam Newton's twice that, because he's a running quarterback. Russell Wilson is a quarterback that's a great athlete that stands in the pocket, and he will run it if it's absolutely necessary.
Okay, here's a question for you, Mike.
Go ahead.
Here's a question for you. Do you consider Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson the same in the sense where...
Yeah, because they both move in the pocket, so it only takes one movement from either one of them guys, up or sideways, to get open to throw the ball. Aaron Rodgers runs the ball if he has to. If you look at John Elway in the 80s was a running quarterback. So was Steve Young. Steve Young was a running quarterback with Tampa Bay. Randall Cunningham was a running quarterback with Philadelphia. If you look at these guys, as they got older, Randall Cunningham became a pocket passer to win an MVP in 1980 or 1998, 99, somewhere around there. John Elway won 2 Super Bowls when he only ran when he had to. Steve Young won a Super Bowl in 1994 when he was 33, 34 years old and ran when he had to. The point is this: in the NFL, most guys that are running quarterbacks either don't trust their arm enough, or they don't trust their offensive line enough, and they run. And if your offensive line's not any good, you're not going to win a Super Bowl anyways. But
I agree.
The fact is
that's where I think the Panthers are now.
But the key thing to being a great quarterback is be able to make those subtle moves in the pocket that buy you an extra second for that receiver to get open on that dig route. And I think the difference is Russell Wilson will make that move and throw that dig. I think Cam Newton will start to make that move and just take off running. And I think that's the difference between the two.
Well, we'll see this year. And I think my final point is this.
Whoa. It's not we'll see this year. We've seen for 7 years. It's just the way it is.
Well, now again.
So now we're going to see this year, but next year.
Here's a new offensive coordinator.
Oh, a new offensive coordinator is not going to make him keep his ass in the pocket. All right, guys, we got to wrap this show up. Steve, any parting shots?
No, I thought Bobby Douglas was a throwing running back.
Yeah, he was a running quarterback. But then again, with Bobby Douglas, you had a horrible offensive line, and he had to get the hell out of Dodge. All right,
but
guys.
Is he the last quarterback? Is he the last quarterback that ran for 1,000 yards?
Michael Vick did.
Did he? Okay, he wasn't the last.
Sure he did. I think Cam Newton has, hadn't he, Lucas?
Cam Newton, yeah.
Yeah, Newton and Vick. And the thing that all three of them have in common is no rings. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up.
Hey, wait. I got one little final piece of nut out here in L.A. The Lakers have announced they are going back to the 1980s shadowed numbered throwback jerseys as their home jerseys and away jerseys, the ones that Magic and Kareem wore with the shadowing of the white shadow or the yellow shadow under their away jerseys. They are taking this thing back to Showtime right away.
Right,
that's big news out here in L.A.
Now they need to dig up Dancing Barry. Tomorrow, guys, at noon on Survive in Advance, we will have...
Dancing Barry was with the Pacers.
No, Dancing Barry was the Lakers.
Oh, Dancing Harry was the Pacers.
I didn't know there was a Dancing Harry. All right, guys.
Yeah.
Tomorrow at noon, our discussion will be on all Hall of Fames and the criteria to join them and why it is more on the fame part than it is greatness. All-time greats should be in. Guys that are very good probably shouldn't, but of course it's not that way. So we'll have a Hall of Fame discussion tomorrow on the show at noon with myself and Steve. And it's up to Steve whether we have Lucas back since I destroyed Steve so much on the Cam Newton argument. Remember, guys, you can hear us on the Spotify.
You destroyed Lucas, not Steve. I was out of that conversation.
I said Lucas, didn't I?
No, you said Steve.
I think you said destroy Steve.
Well, I would have destroyed Steve if he would have agreed with you, but he doesn't.
I wasn't going to argue with you. I'm in agreement.
Follow us at Grueling Truth and at Survive the Magic on Twitter. You can hear all of our shows on Spotify, iHeart, TuneIn, Spreaker, Stitcher. Wherever you find sports podcasts, you'll find The Grueling Truth. So for Lukas Weese, Steve Risley, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.